We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcomed from wherever you are. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. The question was, is immorality and hindrance in meditation? This question, the answer to this was divided into few segments. Tantra today, Tantra is concerned with basic disease, not the symptoms. There are two things. One is the cause, the other is symptom. If you look at the symptom and try to treat, you will not succeed. Symptoms are important to know what it is going on. And the cause is necessary for eradicating the problem. Symptoms simply indicate that there is something on the periphery, something is not going up to mark or right. So this is the role of the symptoms. Symptom is not for the treatment. Symptom is the testing. It helps in the process of knowing the kind of disease it is. So if the symptoms may differ from person to person. Sometimes they get complicated. So you analyze the symptoms, and on the basis of that, you know the cause of the disease. It may be intense, it may be mild. Accordingly, the solution is determined. So Tantra is concerned with basic disease, not the symptoms. Morality is removing symptoms. Morality is removing symptoms. So Tantra says, be not concerned with these two things, moral or immoral concepts. It does not mean that Tantra says become immoral. There are two words. Beyond this, you do not know moral or immoral. But these are the two sides. Just like a coin has two sides, head and tail, everything that is dualistic has two aspects. If you hold morality, immorality will remain at the background, and vice versa. In order to do that, just as you exchange the coin for something that you require, maybe a soft drink, maybe a juice, maybe something for snack or something else. So you have to exchange the coin of morality and immorality, the coin whose two sides are moral and immoral, for something which is more sustainable. It does not mean that Tantra is against. When you use your coin in exchange for something, that does not mean that you are against the coin. The purpose of the coin is to exchange it for something more valuable. You use your coin, weigh the pros and cons of the item that you want in exchange for. The value that you are going to gain from exchanging the coin is more or less. So accordingly you work. Tantra says the whole thing is irrelevant. Don't talk about morality or immorality. Come to the root. And in order to come to the root, When you discover what is the problem, then you have to use your coin to exchange for something else. You can be moral and immoral, but that is only the symptoms. Come to the root. The root is you are asleep, fast asleep. So Tantra is concerned with how to break this sleeping pattern, that you are constantly falling asleep. I'm talking to you, you fall asleep and you feel relaxed and you say something is happening. This is because the words are moving, the voice modulation is at such a pitch in a way that can create boredom in you. And that will put you to sleep. And you feel something, you feel relaxed. But that does not mean the transformation is happening. How to be aware, and so that you do not fall again and again into the same old sleeping patterns. That is what Tantra is concerned with. And once you become alert, your character, your life will change. Character, the way you interact in a particular circumstance and situation, that will change. But that is simply a consequence of change that has taken place in you. And because of that, your way of operation, way of understanding, way of interaction will change. And that is a consequence. Tantra says you need not worry about it. This is a consequence. Inevitably, it happens. So you need not worry about it. You need not bring it. It will happen on its own. When you are taking a medicine after it has been prescribed to you, forget about the side effects and all that. When this medicine begins to work in you, then as a consequence, those symptoms will vanish. So when you start following the technique, whatsoever has been told to you, then as a consequence of that, things begin to change in you. But this morality that will happen to you is not forced. It is not something done by you on your part. It is the outcome of just being alert and awake because of many things you used to do before. Many times the people, they tell us things. Now when the things have changed, they do not tell me things like those that used to happen. I will not mention those things because some of those are personal, but each one of you know what kind of things you used to tell me before, and now those things you do not mention of those things to me again. So it is as a consequence. When the disease is pointed out, a technique is given, and it starts working in you, as a consequence, you develop morality that is not something that is imposed on you. You are just trying to be alert, trying to be awake, and this happens. How can a person who is alert be violent? How can he be angry? Yes, it may look paradoxical, but it is so. An aware person cannot be angry, cannot be violent. One who is asleep cannot be without hatred. It is impossible. He can pretend that there is no anger, no hatred. But every action of his is guided by that. He can only pretend there is love, compassion, kindness, and sympathy. But those are pretensions. Quite contrary happens to the one who is awakened. If anger is needed, he uses it. He only uses it as a tool. So you can say he pretends to be angry. The best example of that is mother. Mother wants to correct the child, so she becomes very strict with the child. She gets angry, but that anger is a tool of compassion. He can only pretend. He cannot be sad, but if it is needed, he can pretend that he is sad. Now, these are impossible for him to be otherwise. Love is natural now, as hatred was before. Love is natural now, as hatred was. Earlier, love was pretension. Now, hatred can only be a pretension if it is needed. Jesus, fighting with the money changers in the great temple, was pretending. He becomes violent, he turns over the table, makes it. He cannot be angry, but he has chosen to use anger as a tool at that moment. And that is a pretend. He cannot really be angry, but he can use anger. You use love for certain purposes. Your love is just to get something else. It is never simply pure love. You may be trying to get money. You may be trying to get sex. You may be trying to get something, ego, fulfilling your ego, a victory, a feeling that you are very powerful. You may be trying to get anything else, but it is never love. A Buddha can be angry if he thinks that it is going to help the seeker. Because of his love, sometimes he may be angry, but that is only a pretension. You recall the incident. A man comes to Buddha. He was an atheist. He said, I do not believe in God. And I know you also do not believe in God because you never talk of God. What do you say? The sentence that Buddha used, it is an expression of his displeasure or anger. He said, who says there is no God? There is only God and nothing else. God surrounds everywhere. This was a shock to the man because he knew that Buddha never talked of God, anything, but it was necessary. Necessary. What was his intention of getting? He wanted to get a confirmation for his belief system that not only I, but Buddha also says there is no God. So he can carry on his trade of atheism. Next one comes, he said, I am believer of God. What do you say? Buddha said there is no God. There is no God anywhere. You don't see him anywhere. This confused Anand, who was listening to the two people whom Buddha addressed the same day at different times. Then another person who came, he said, Master, I do not know anything whether God is or not, but you seem to be, you are the one who knows. I have come to your shelter. So he was ready to receive the answer. In order to receive the answer of an awakened one, there has to be an inner space. Inner space means no wounds within, no conditionings, no preconditionings, no thought process, nothing, just emptiness. So when his message goes, it starts echoing deep within, and you hear the echoes of it. So Anand asked, what is this? He could not understand. Tantra will not say be moral or immoral. The only thing is, if you are asleep, you need to change it. You become awake. Allow yourself to become more and more alert. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, if you are immoral, Tantra says, it is okay, no problem, just be awake. We are not concerned with your morality or immorality. We are concerned with your sleep. Are you awake? When you are entering into the act of sex, are you awake or asleep? If you are awake, then you are not bothered about morality or immorality. For you, it is a tool. Do not fight with immorality. Just transform your sleep. If you are moral, it is okay. Tantra is not going to tell you to become immoral. And then try, try. Neither does morality nor immorality can transform you. What can transform you is your awakening. The moment you are wake up, if you want to do something, you are asleep. Can you eat your food? Can you make love? Can you do anything? Can you speak to someone? You have to wake up. Maybe you are half asleep, half awake, and then you are answering the call, or you are making love, or whatsoever it is. You have to be awake even for ordinary things to be. You cannot drive the vehicle when you are asleep. You have to wake up. Otherwise, accident can happen. So wherever you are, a sinner or a saint, I have given you the example of Nagarjuna. A thief came to be his disciple, but his condition was that Nagarjuna should not tell him to leave thieving, because this is his profession and he wants to continue that. So only one thing he added, I will not tell you anything, but when you are going to thief, be aware that I am going to thief. When you break open, you be aware that I have broken the safe, broken the house, entered in the house. Now I am picking up all these precious jewels that I need. The sinner is ill, the so-called saint is also ill. Both are asleep. The illness, the main cause is sleep, not your character. Character is the outcome. If you are awake, Character is the way that you live your life. If you are awake, you will interact in a particular way. If you are asleep, you will interact in another way. Character is just a byproduct. And whatsoever you do while remaining asleep will not make any basic change in you. Only one thing can change you and create a mutation, that is your alertness. If you are alert, then whatsoever you are doing, whether you are cooking, you are driving, you are talking to your subordinates, you are talking to your officers, seniors, you are talking to your children or wife, that will have a totally different quality. The question is one of how to become more and more alert. The moment you start working on that, it may happen. At times, anger may start coming in, and then when it has come in, just at that moment, a call comes in, a message comes in that you have to be awake. So immediately your approach changes. So in the beginning it happens like this. You have said something. Earlier on, when you say I'm sorry, these were simply empty words. Now you will make a promise to yourself that I will not allow the same situation to happen again. That too unconsciously. So your outer life, first the inner life has to change. Then the outer life will begin to change your interaction, your character and everything. Understand this basic distinction between Tantra and what others teach you. Tantra is more scientific. It goes to the very root of the problem. Transform you from the very beginning, from the very core, not from the outer, on the surface. Simple example, you have to go to a function, so you dress. So one way is that you can just use some perfume, wear some makeup, change your shirt, change your jacket, but that does not mean, but what you do, before you prepare yourself, get yourself ready, you take a shower. Shower removes any perspiration or anything, cleans you, then you dress and you go there. Understand this basic distinction between Tantra and what others teach you. Many times you would have seen we are driving, a woman is driving, she has to come out of the car to meet the person. Before she comes out, she pulls out her makeup kit from the bag, wears the lipstick, looks at the face, does it everything, wears some perfume, and now ready to meet. Tantra is not concerned with that. Tantra is more scientific. It goes to the very root of the problem, transform you from the very beginning, not from your outer sheath of layer of character, of morality or immorality, of acts and doings. Whatsoever you do is just on the periphery. Whatsoever you are is never on the periphery. The quality of the act, not the act itself, is the meaning of Tantra. The circumference is one thing. You have to interact on the circumference, but you have to be at the center. You are going to meet the person for the conference or meeting on the surface when you are dressed for the occasion. But what you speak there is nothing to do with your clothes, is nothing to do with the expensive vehicle that you come with. There is a Zen anecdote. A butcher came in to Nanin. He was a butcher, and Nanin was a Buddhist monk, a master. Buddhists, they are non-violent, who believed in non-violence. His whole profession and the profession of the butcher was that of violence, because that's the way he makes his living. Whole day he was killing animals, and when the butcher came in Nanin, he asked, "What am I to do? My profession is one of violence, so do I have to leave my profession first?" And it is the only profession that I know. There is no other way of my livelihood. Nanak said, we are not concerned with what you do. We are concerned with what you are. What you are, the center teaches you. What you do is on the circumference. If you are an awakened person, when you are going to the meeting or for the occasion, your whole character, your whole approach, your behavior will differ than that of the person who does not know who he is. So you go on doing whatsoever you are doing, but be more alert. While killing, remain alert, meditative, and go on doing whatsoever you are doing. We are not concerned with your periphery, circumference. We are concerned in changing you. Nanan's followers became disturbed. What kind of teaching he is telling this person? This is against the Buddhist teaching, because here was a person who was a follower of Buddha, a believer in non-violence, believer in morality, and to this person he says the contrary. He says the contrary, allowing a butcher to continue the profession. One disciple said, that is not good. And we never expected that a person like you would allow a butcher to remain a butcher. And when he was asking, you should have told him to drop it. The same thing happened with one of the monks of Buddha. There was a prostitute, Amrapali. She was known as the bride of the city. Everybody looks at her as an object, but this monk looked at her in a different way, greeted her, welcomed her. So she invited him The Buddhist monks do not travel during the month of rainy season. They stay at one place. So she told him that the rainy season is coming. You can come and stay with me. I'll take care of all your needs and everything. So he told Amrapali that I have to ask the permission from my master, Buddha. He goes and he tells Buddha. Buddha says there is no problem, you can stay there. Others, the same way as happened with Nanin, they say, but this is not right. He said, wait for 4 months and see what happens. After 4 months, when this monk returned, Amrapali was following him, and came to Buddha's commune to be initiated. In those 4 months, in his association, Amrapali was transformed. So when Nanin told the man that you can continue your profession, whatever it is, but be alert and awake in whatsoever you are doing. Nanin said, so it is not good to change the outer life. It is better to change now the quality of your mind. It is good to let him remain as a butcher because he is disturbed by his butchery and violence. If he becomes a saint, he will remain a butcher within. Those things will remain within. If I tell you not to involve in sex, it will continue to be disturbing you. His ego will be strengthened. So it is good. He is disturbed, that violence is there, and he has become at least this much aware. It is good. And he is ready to change, but the change has to go through a process. It has to be studied. The readiness was very important to change. A new quality of the mind has to be developed in him, that what he was doing, the way he was interacting in his life, that has to change. And for that, meditation is the antidote. Awareness is the antidote. You do the same thing, but bring awareness into it, that you are going to engage in this particular act, but earlier on you was doing it in a different way. I am not talking about one particular. I gave a few examples. The example of Nagarjuna, stealing, this is one of the common problems. The Nanin's example, that a butcher comes to him, he is now ready to change. A woman, Amrapali, who was known as the bride of the city, only the rich people and influential people were waiting to have an appointment with her at her doorstep, and here she goes for a monk. That means the seed is beginning to sprout for transformation. She comes to the monk. The way he respected her, she never got that respect from anyone. They could give her the money but not the respect that a woman needs. And all the monks around Buddha, they objected. They said this is not right. Maybe they were jealous of it also. Whatsoever be, Buddha said, let the 4 months pass. Everybody said that he will not return. He said, do not conclude. Wait for the 4 months to be over. After 4 months, the monk returned to the commune, followed by Amrapali in a very humble appearances, and she put her head on the feet of Buddha and asked for initiation, and she was initiated. So the butcher said, now if you say, I remain in the profession, will I pretend to be there? Will I pretend to be there? But as far as I am concerned, I am no more there. So if you allow me, I am not going back. But if you say to go, then it is okay. So there was a readiness. I am not into that violence. I am not interested in, but you say there is no harm in remaining. If you tell me to go and continue, I will do that. If you say no, I will not. This is how your quality changes, your character changes, your quality of consciousness. You become a different person altogether. Tantra is concerned with you, not with what you do. That is what I keep on sharing and working with you all, that I am only concerned with what you are, how to transform you. The rest you will decide how to do it. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.